Hello, my loves. My name is Rebecca, and this is my new video for Pillars of the Moon. Blessed new moon to you all. Wow. So we have quite a big cycle ahead. So I'm really wanting to share some things that I'm receiving and what I'm feeling around this cycle within cycles. And I'm hoping that some of it can bring insights and healing and medicine to you all for this new cycle. So, yeah, the new moon today is in a grand cross aspect with Pluto and the nodes of the moon, which, I mean, that aspect has been going on for quite a long time now. And it is very intense and it's very transformative and it's very deep. It can feel quite eruptive and volcanic. And so this new lunar cycle really in opposition to Pluto and in this grand cross aspect is, we're going into it knowing, that there's going to be big changes coming this cycle. And so we can begin this cycle as a seed of intention of really what am I intending for this new lunar tide. And we can make prayers and we can do rituals and we can have ceremonies to really tune in. And the energy of our heart is really important at the moment because Venus and Mars are at the heart of the lion Regulus and they're in union in the heart. So we can bring our hands, our masculine and our feminine, our right and our left, and we can make a heart with our hands. And we can bring that heart medicine down over our heart space. And really connect with that inner sanctuary, the valley of our heart, where all parts of us meet. And we can breathe into that place. We can feel the heart beating under our hands. And it can bring us some real, I guess when we're feeling lots of things, it really is our breath and our intention that can see us through. So I'm going to jump into a screen that I've made for you all. I've made a little poster of the cycle ahead. So this is all the GMT time zones. So you can look at timeanddate.com for your specific area. So yeah, the new moon will be in Gemini. This is the live sky astrology, not Western or tropical astrology. So this is actually matching the live sky as it is right now on this cycle. Some people call constellational astrology or true sidereal astrology or 13 star sign astrology. Yeah, so new moon in Gemini, 17th, which is today, at 19:31, which is tonight. Then the first quarter moon will be in Virgo on the 25th of July, and that will be at 11 in the evening, 06. The first quarter moon will actually be aligned with the south node of the moon. So, the first quarter energy is a real building energy. So it's the time of building towards something or working towards something. So it's like, wow, it's connected to the south node, which is our past and our past lives and our, our childhoods and our birth and our ancestral stories, so there's what we're actually working towards this cycle is that it's the stuff of the past. And with this full moon coming in Capricorn on the 1st of August at 19:31, the full moon in Capricorn is really looking at the father figure or the patriarchy. And so this whole cycle is building towards, we're coming through the first quarter moon is going to be really around the past and things that may have happened. And the energy is building and growing towards that awareness of that to come to the fullness of the cycle of the full moon in Capricorn. It's like, wow, this is a real kind of like big shifting and changing and releasing around the inner father or the father that is, in and around us, and the connection to, you know, the way that we organize and structure things, and connected to the government and the father figure. Like there's just, it's a big full moon. And then the rain's coming now. Well, last quarter moon in Aries, you know, is actually going to be on the 8th of the 8th, 1128. So some people in the Western astrology world will call that the Lion's Gate. I do not, because the sun is not in Leo at that time. And actually the Lion's Gate is the place between, what I believe, the gate is between Cancer and Leo, the fire and the water, and they create the rainbow bridge between them. You know, like when the sun and the rain come, and, you know, there's always rainbows, right? So the water of Cancer and the sun, the fire of Leo, together they create the rainbow bridge, the alchemy of union, and life and birth and death and endings and beginnings and cycles. So the space in between those two is actually the space where Venus is going to retrograde back over. So Venus begins her retrograde during this cycle on the 22nd, and she's going back from the heart of the lion. She's going to say goodbye to Mars. She's going to journey back into the mother, and she's going to reclaim something of herself, of her home, she's going to find the home within her. There is something that she's going back for. She has to go back. And so, you know, with the first quarter moon in Virgo conjunct the South Node, we're going back. So there's like a part of us that needs to do some soul retrieval work, you know, retracing the threads, and to bring a part of us back. You know, I'm pulling it back now. You can see there's like, wow, now there's a part that may have been lost or left behind that we really need. So yeah, so Venus is very important, this cycle, but the bigger cycle of Venus is really important too at the moment, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. The last quarter moon, which is on the 8th of the 8th, will be with Uranus and Jupiter, you know, so that's going to be quite a big energy. And as well, we have the Llamas portal this cycle. So in the traditional pagan calendar, it's the 1st of the 8th, which is the 1st of August, which is the full moon date. But in the astrological calendar, you can work it out, and the exact astrological date will be the 7th. So the exact date of Llamas will be in between these two here. So, and so for those of you who are in the Southern Hemisphere, you know, you'll be also celebrating at this time, you know, so you'll be, is it your, oh my God, is it your Imbolc already? Must be, that's the opposite Llamas, right? So there's a whole kind of like shifting and turning. So for us in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going down into the darkest part of the year. So the Llamas energy is about the first harvest, and it's connected to Demeter, the harvest mother, and she's the mother of Persephone. And Persephone is also reflected in Inanna, the story of Inanna's descent, which is also reflected in Venus, and Venus is going into the underworld. So there's a lot of mirroring happening in the stars and the earth right now. So for those of us who are in the Northern Hemisphere, obviously we're going into the dark, and we're going into the darker part of the year. And so with the first harvest, you know, the story of Demeter, there's a grief of the mother, there's a grief of the death of the old cycle. And, you know, when we're harvesting things are actually dying. You know, you pull a carrot out, and then there's a death of the carrot, but it becomes life when it goes into us, and it helps us to live, you know. So there's like this whole energy of life and death, and the grief of the endings of summer. You can feel like we're coming to the end, but there's also all this stuff that we're harvesting as well. And so those of you in the south, it's like you're coming out of your darkest time, and you're coming, you know, up. You're coming up, and there's the first stirrings of life. Maybe there's a few little flowers opening. Things are starting to feel like there's this new life coming, that the Imbolc energy really is about rebirthing and the first stirrings of spring. So, and then, yeah, those of us who are in the north, it's like the first endings. You know, the first harvest is the first deaths of like things that we're releasing and letting go of, and but also all that we're gathering, starting to gather for all of the work that we've done through the year so far, you know, and how we're now bringing it all back and bringing it in and like starting to say, wow, this has been a great harvest. Or it's like, wow, no, maybe that next year we can do things a bit differently, you know. So for us in the Northern Hemisphere, you know, we're coming into the end of the summer and the harvest time. It's a time where we start to reflect and we start to look at what's working and what's not. And so this cycle is really about that, you know, it's a very transformative cycle within a big, much bigger cycle, you know. So that's all of the that's the overview of the month, I guess. So yeah, Venus will be going retrograde in between the new moon and the first quarter moon here. And then the Llamas time will be in between the full moon and the last quarter moon here. You know, so it's very like interesting because the Llamas time is connected to Demeter, the mother of Persephone, and Venus is connected to Persephone in the descent into the underworld. You know, so it's really interesting synergy that's happening, that's blowing me away. So yeah, let's go into the live sky, my lovelies. So I'm just going to change the time on the calendar. So we've got 17th of the 7th, and it will be 19, what did I say? 1931, wasn't it? So yeah, this is Stellarium Web. This is the live sky. You can see this red line around here. This is the boundaries of the constellation Gemini. And this is the stars of Gemini here. So the red line is the ecliptic line or path of the sun. This is the sun and the moon. And you can see Pollux and Castor are the twins. And so they represent like the different hemispheres of the brain, I feel, or like the different polarities. And you know, the twins connecting to, you know, the logical brain and the creative brain, the left and the right hemispheres, or even, you know, the upper and lower worlds, or even the masculine and feminine, or even like, it's just like the way that things are polarized, you know, and it's like this the splitting. But actually, like what I felt from being in union with my beautiful partner is like that twin energy is like splitting from the whole so that you can see yourself, so that we can see all the parts of us that are not whole, you know. So in like in many of the stories, you know, there's the split in the worlds, and you could either see it as, yeah, spirit and matter, or the upper world and the lower world, you know, and there's like, or the fire and the water, or there's so many ways that you can look at the polarities in the split. And the twins, the energy of Gemini, you know, really, for me, really symbolizes this. And what I feel like the higher octave or the higher purpose of this new cycle is to really illuminate the ways that we split, and how we can really see like the layers of the past or the traumas that have caused us to split and dissociate and discard or judge, or, you know, like, so really this whole cycle could be around looking at that, you know, why are we separating? Why is it painful here? Why is it edgy here? Why is that really, you know, like, so yeah, so this is the energy of the twins. And Mercury is over in Cancer, and he's conjunct Black Moon Lilith as well at the time of the new moon. So there's lots and lots to do with our communication, and really deep communication, fears of being surfaced around abandonment or rejection or insecurities, or, you know, we could be talking a lot about that. So I wanted to, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just share with you about the journey of Venus before we jump into the charts. So here's Venus. Da, da, da. So this is Regulus. This is the royal star in the heart of the lion. So this is a really important piece. I think it's like, oh yes. So Mars and Venus have been together for a while now, right, in Leo. And Venus is at her full ascension. She's at the end of she's at her crown chakra of her journey. And so she will be going back, as I said, and I'll show you in a second her journey. But she's going back into the mother. She's going back over the rainbow bridge between Leo and Cancer. But she's starting where she is right now at the new moon cycle. She is with Mars and Pallas Athena at the heart of the lion. So, as I shared before at the beginning about this heart that we can make with our hands, that is symbolic of the two sides of ourselves, we can see it as our left and right side of our brain, and bringing it into our heart. And so there's loads of practices that you can do, like breathing, like kind of in between the heart and the womb, in the heart-womb river. Even if you haven't got a womb, you can bring the energy down into the creative center of the pelvis. Wow. So yes, Leo and Cancer. Oh my goodness. So Leo is like the heart. I see like the sun in the heart, and I really connect. I know that the heart chakra is normally green, right? Whenever I meditate in the heart, I just see gold and honey, like this liquid gold that expands out from my heart. And the Leo energy is all about heart, right? And courage and that, yeah, the heart. So, and the sun is gold and the light. So yeah, when I'm meditating with my heart, I'm just really expanding into that heart energy and bringing that union into my heart. And so the energy of the heart-womb river, which I was talking about with Leo and Cancer before, the heart-womb river is that rainbow bridge that is in our very body, and I'll show you. So we can breathe from our heart, breathing in all that we love, sending it down into the waters of the pelvis and the creative energy here. And so we're creating a rainbow bridge between our heart and our womb, or our pelvic organs and all our waters, So bringing the awareness of that valley of creative love that is symbolic of Leo and Cancer. So the rainbow bridge is what Venus is activating at the moment when she's preparing to go into her retrograde. So she's with Mars and she's in her heart. She's at her full expanded version. She's got her crown on again, and she is at her crown chakra. And so this is all about her royalty, her sovereignty, and balance of her union within, and so yeah, and also the crown is our connection to spirit and source and universal life energy power, so it's amazing. Wow. But yeah, I wanted to show you her journey. So let's just zoom out a little bit. So yeah, right, so we're going to move forward in time, and you can see when she starts to go retrograde. So she's starting to move back now. So she's going back towards, I'm trying to show you this. Yeah, you can see that she's moving all the way back towards Cancer. Now we're in August and she's still going back. You can see the sun is now moved into Leo. This is at like the 20 something of August, it's already way into Leo by then, but it'll be at Regulus around the 22nd of August, and she will be in Cancer. To keep moving forwards, Venus is still in Cancer. So right at this point, we get to August, September time, and she is at Ashleisha, the head of the serpents. This is the Hydra constellation. Look, it's a snake, and Ashleisha is the head of the serpent. So you can see that Venus is actually returning to the head of her Kundalini. So what this journey is connected to the rainbow serpent, or the rainbow bridge. So the energy of Venus is coming back from the heart, and she's going down the rainbow bridge to the base of her Kundalini, or the base of the waters of the creation, the creative life forces, the Kundalini. So the Venusian energy is showing us, she's like, come on. Like, this is the energy of creation. It's like the womb and the heart and the river of life that is connected between them. So this the Hydra constellation is symbolic of the Kundalini, and you can see where it is, you know, is between the light and the dark. Or the womb is like the waters is dark and the ocean is dark, right? You go down in the ocean, it's very dark in the depths. So, you know, Leo and Cancer are like polarities in a way, you know. So she's going back towards Cancer. And so we get all the way back into September. By the time we get to September, she's right in the end of her retrograde. And then she will start going forwards. Can you see she's starting to go, now she's going forwards again. So, and so I wanted to move forwards in time, and I wanted to see, when does she meet with Mars again? So I'm going quite fast now. Is she gone? So she's not with Mars, but she's coming out of her retrograde. And now, where is she going to meet with him? Here he is. She's chasing him. Woo! Right in the middle of Capricorn. So that is, look at this date. Wow. The 22nd of the 2nd, that's 222. That's a very divine number, and it's the number of Magdalene. Okay, so those of you who, you know, are really into the rose lineage and the Venusian mysteries, we need to know this. You know, Venus is going to be coming in union with Mars again on the date, the 222, you know, and that'll be around the Imbolc portal for us. So, and those of you in the southern hemisphere will be at Llamas then, you know. So this is actually what is happening, beginning at this new moon with Venus, is actually a very larger cycle connected to Venus and Mars. And so the full moon that we have this cycle will be in Capricorn. So isn't it interesting that, you know, when we get to Imbolc in February, and when the southern hemisphere get to the next turning of Llamas in February, you know, Venus is coming into union with Mars, you know. So, and then, you know, so there's something that she's going into the dark and into this retrograde time to find a piece of herself, to reclaim something that was broken or missing and heal. And then she's going to come back into union with the masculine, with Capricorn in February, you know, the 2nd of the 2nd, 22nd of the 2nd, 2024. So, wow, that's beautiful. And then if you add all those numbers together, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you know, so that makes 3, Trinity, you know. So you could see her here with Mars in Capricorn, you know. So it's so interesting, like how these greater cycles are working within us. So when I'm looking at like the intensity, let's go back to today, you know, when I'm looking at, you know, the greater cycles that are happening for us, the cycles within cycles within cycles, it's like we can see how, you know, we might be being stretched right now. We might be in this period of intensity, just like when we're giving birth to a child, right? And you have these waves of intensity, and some people call them contractions, some people call them surges or waves. It's like this energy of, oh, it's like we're stretching through something, or we're breaking through something, and it's like a layer of an onion. It's peeling off, you know. And when if we're just so focused on this particular cycle, and it's just going to be really intense, and we can't see the bigger picture of where it's going, you know, it's going to be like, it can feel like, we can feel like, whoa, this is just so overwhelming, we're so lost. But if you know you're going to get something at the end of it, like a baby, or or a greater part of yourself, or whatever it is, you know, it's like you can see that there's a reason for it, and it's not just like cruel and horrible, but there's a transformational process here that's being offered to us. I just wanted to go back into the live sky, so I just thought of something, but I'm going to go back to that date, 2024, the 2nd, 22. Yeah, so, oh my goodness, the moon is in Cancer. Now that's funny, isn't it? Is that a synchronicity or what? So I was just telling you that when, yes, this is amazing. So on the 22nd of February next year, when Venus comes back into union with Mars, the moon will be in Cancer, which is where she went on her retrograde. You know, like, wow, can't even make this up. It's so amazing. And then what I wanted to say was the sun, at the time when she comes back into union with Mars, will be at Fomalhaut, which is the royal star of the south, which is obviously opposite Regulus, which is where they began this lunar cycle. Like, oh my gosh. So the sun, Saturn, and Mercury are like in Aquarius. So what I feel like this whole bigger picture is, it's like it's moving towards, I know, I'm going to say it, the age of Aquarius. We're not there yet. We've got a long while to go, but we're working towards something. We are the building blocks for this new world. And I mean that with like, it's not like something that I'll probably see in this lifetime, but I feel like I'm doing the work within myself to create a new foundation for my children to build upon and for 7 generations to come. You know, I'm really looking at the bigger picture here and how, you know, I need to make these building blocks now for my children to then keep building this new Aquarian world, you know. So when we are returning back to where we are right now in the bigger picture, in coming back, you know, zooming back down to this one lunar cycle, you know, we are this cycle being offered and guided towards, encouraged even, to really find a way to come into union with ourselves and with the world around us, and really bring awareness to the places where we dissociate and separate. Yeah, so let's go over to the chart. Right. I've already been drawing on it. So yeah, this is the chart for the new moon. So you can see the new moon here, which is at 24 degrees of Gemini and opposing Pluto. Pluto is on the last degree of Sagittarius in retrograde. So he's still going back, you know, so there is a real reflection of the Pluto energy. And something that I'm also really fascinated about is Pluto's connection to Venus, or Hades, is like the Lord of the Underworld, which is, you know, in the stories of Persephone, it was Hades that took her into the underworld to die and to be in the dark for that period before then she came back into the light and into the spring. You know, you can look into the mythologies and the stories around it, but Pluto is opposing this new lunar cycle. That's how we're beginning. And he's in a grand cross aspect. So that means that, so Pluto is in T-square to the nose. You can see this red line here is in square to the south node of the moon over here in Virgo. And he's also in square to the north node of the moon, which is on the Aries and Pisces cusp. And he's also in square to the new moon. So you can draw a line up from the north node. You can see that there's another cross that's coming over, T-squaring into the new moon. So this is like intense tension. Really intense, you know. So I know that you're probably all feeling this too. It's definitely been like it in my house. Waves of it. It's waves of intensity, waves of like emotion and feeling and like, because also like where the North Node is right now, where we're moving towards, is actually connected to the star, which means the knot between the worlds, which is Aurishka, which I spoke about before, right? So it's the knot of Pisces. It's the star that connects us to spirit or source. So our North Node is really close to that star now. So it's like we're moving towards what our collective destiny is to find that knot, that place where we're connected to our soul and spirit and source and the cosmos. So that's what we're moving towards, but it's a long journey in regards to like there's a lot that we're moving through from the past to the South Node, and it's a lot to do with Capricorn, and so the full moon will be in Capricorn. And so you can see the Saturn energy, in Aquarius is it also in retrograde. So Saturn is going back, he's reflecting, and Mars is opposing him, So, and this energy can be very kind of militant and very kind of like authoritative, and it's like symbolic of like the warrior and the, I don't know, like the military or something. And there could be like this kind of like standoff between the masculine energies, like this, like like this fight. It feels like there could be this potential for like just like an intense kind of authority, or feeling like we need to break free or like fight for something. And so Mars connected to Pallas Athena, it could be really like about justice and finding balance and integrity in things, So at Regulus, it's really connected to our heart and integrity. And so Mars is feeling very courageous right now. He's in the heart of the lion. So he's got a lot of courage, to really to speak up and to stand up, for what he believes in and what is important and all that he loves. With Venus right there, it's like he's got his Venusian goddess queen with her crown next to him. It's like the king and queen, of ourselves at the height of her ascension process, in Leo here. So these two together with Pallas Athena, it's like there needs to be like, so justice, I feel, for things that have happened in the past. And the Pluto energy is like, I felt like this chrysalis of like transformation and like dissolving or shedding skins of old layers of ourselves. And it's a process. It's like we are layers and layers and layers of dissolving so that we can be reborn, and collectively as well as individually, So all of this, is happening for a reason. And so the time of the new moon, Mercury is at 13 degrees of Cancer and Lilith is at 0 degrees of Leo. And so these two together, this is the actual landscape, really. Boom, right here. I was talking to you before about the Rainbow Bridge and this connection with the heart and the womb that these two symbolize. And so it feels like Lilith and Mercury together could be like, it could feel like our communications are quite eruptive. It could feel like our communications may be, there may be a lot of emotions and anger coming out in our voice. There could be, shadow sides of this could be connected to like gossip or bitching or putting other people down or spreading rumors or malicious kind of words. That's kind of something that could be also brought into our awareness of the way that we complain about things is a way of separating from something, So if there's something in our life that we keep bitching about or complaining about, it's really a practice to look at that and how it might be connected to the South Node, to our past, and something that may have triggered us in the past. And that's the reason why we are seeing it now, you know? So, yeah. Moving into the first quarter moon, which will be in Virgo. So you can see here, so we've moved all the way around from Gemini, the new moon here. And now the sun has moved into Cancer. You can see by the time of the first quarter moon. And now Mercury and Venus are together, and Black Moon Lilith and Pallas, Athena and Mars. And they're all in Leo. And they're all opposing Saturn. Bless Saturn. I say bless him, but you know, he's got a lot to answer for, I think. So here's Saturn, or the father figure, is going back into the past and reviewing ways that he may have acted, you know. And there's a big energy from the lion, from the heart, you know, of the voice of our heart, Mercury and Venus, the voice of the dark, and our heart, Lilith, you know. And there could be this kind of energy of Mars is like, actually, no, I want to stand up for this. I want to fight for this. This is important, you know, and it's connected to the South Node of the moon. And the moon is there too. So the Virgo energy is maybe of like how we've been subservient, or how we've been taken advantage of, or how we've just been of service and giving, or having to be slaves to something, slaves to a patriarchal system or a father figure, you know, like, oh, it's so deep, isn't it? Oh, yeah. And also it's opposite Chiron as well. So wow, Chiron in Pisces. So all of this, you know, it's to do with healing. It's to do with, really, I invite us to feel these things, you know, to feel all that's moving through us, to feel these wounds of the past, and, you know, do what we need to do to release it. There's lots of ways that we can do that through, you know, actually tears, or we all have different ways, you know, of releasing. Could be punching a pillow or shouting. It could be shaking. It could be just being with it, or having somebody else with you in it. And then the Llamas full moon, the 1st of August, is the full moon, which will be in Capricorn. Wow. And so, yeah, Venus and Lilith, it's all kind of breaking up a bit here now. Everything's moving apart a bit. So the first quarter moon will be quite a big energy in Leo, and it's still all in Leo, but, you know, Lilith is going in between Leo and Cancer at the moment. So it's kind of like she's even on the rainbow bridge, you know, like between our creative energy and our hearts, you know. And so Lilith is also connected to the serpent. So I see her working between these two energies as she is activating our Kundalini, actually. And she might be looking at our spine and the places in our Kundalini where our energy may be blocked. You know, so the things that may be coming up around this full moon connected to Capricorn, you know, it's like the Lilith energy, you know, she's really wanting us to shake it up, and it may be coming to our awareness, you know, the things that we're really needing to work towards, and it may be illuminated for us, like our triggers and our traumas and the parts of us that need some love. Yeah, last quarter moon. Look, I've just done, wow. So the last quarter moon will be on the 8th of the 8th. Some people say that's the Lion's Gate, but let's just look. Where is the sun? The sun is in Cancer. Yeah. So yeah, there's the Lion's Gate portal is more to do with like Western astrology type things, because they say the sun is in Leo and it's all to do with Sirius, which, you know, I don't really agree with. But the 8th of the 8th this year is a big energy, because the last quarter moon is going to be between Uranus and Jupiter. So that's big, you know. And so the actual astrological date of Llamas, as I said, is on the 7th of August. So that's the day before this. So the time between the full moon, which will be the 1st of August, and the last quarter moon, which is the 8th, really big energy this week, that week. Going to be big, right? So we can plan for that. Maybe we can plan to, you know, not have too much to do in that week and really be present for things that are coming up. And so yeah, so this week is going to be interesting. And I say that because, you know, this is like the last quarter moon is coming to the end of the cycle. It's like the wrapping up, and when we start to harvest the cycle that's happened. So all the things that have been illuminated and pushed up to the surface at the full moon, you know, by the time we get to the last quarter moon, we're starting to gather the pieces and go, wow, that happened, and that, and integrate the journey. And so the journey of integration is essential, you know, for us to really complete the cycle. And so this is the journey home, you know. So we're beginning this time of journeying back to the new moon. It's like we are integrating the cycle, and so this could feel like a huge turning point for us, with Jupiter expanding and Uranus like breaking through the patterns of the past. And you know, just before the last quarter moon, the moon will be crossing the North Node. As you can see, the North Node has now crossed into Pisces. So it's crossed over the moon, the North Node of the moon has crossed over, is at Aureshka, the knot or the cord that connects us to our spirit and our soul. And so as we're coming into the harvesting of the cycle, wow, there could be a real wow opportunity to reconnect with all parts of ourselves and the cosmos. And it feels really beautiful, actually. So the North Node will be coming, you can see it's coming closer and closer towards Chiron. And so this is a period of collective healing. And that's our destiny. That's what we're working towards, is collective healing of the age of Pisces. You know, so we can move into the age of Aquarius, but it's a journey and it takes time. So when we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture, we can see, you know, the journey of our evolution and what our evolution is requiring of us now. It's collective healing. So yeah, new moon will be in Leo, 16th of the 8th. You can see here, this will be 4 degrees of Leo. Oh, Black Moon Lilith is there. Venus is there, but Venus is going backwards. Wow. So that's a whole new cycle. So I'll talk about that next month. And I'll come back and talk to you more about Llamas at the time of the full moon in a few weeks. So let's stop sharing the screen now. I'm hoping that some of that's helpful to you all. Oh, so much, isn't it? I love like the stars. But what I can really feel at the moment, the journey of Venus is really mirroring the Earth and the stars, and how as above, so below. And even if you're in the southern hemisphere, you know, like it's reflecting the celestial gates, and how, like, you know, the royal stars of the Regulus and Fomalhaut, you know, this is the journey now of Venus, is showing us the descent and the ascent, and the Llamas energy is the descent and the Imbolc energy is the ascent, you know. So wow, it's just so amazing, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to log off now, but I'm hoping that you receive that with love, and yeah, sending you strength and patience, and oh yeah, just so much seeing of the bigger picture for this whole cycle is to create change, to make space for the bigger cycles to come. All right, my darlings, blessed new moon. Love you so much. Mwah.